The FA Cup third round is usually one of the highlights of the football calendar, but should Swansea City fans even bother getting excited about the cup this year? Over the past 2 decades, much has been made of the way the world's oldest cup competition has lost its prestige. Many blame Manchester United for kicking off this demise after they declined to defend their trophy in 2000, instead deciding to compete in the Club World Championship in Brazil. It certainly dented the competition's status that the undisputed giants of English football at the time didn't believe it was worth their effort, but let's face it, they deserve only the tiniest fraction of the blame for the FA Cup's current malaise. As the years wore on, more and more big clubs started using the cup as a chance to rest players in order to prioritize the league or European campaigns. Then it became commonplace for Premier League relegation battlers, and by now even mid-table sides with nothing else to play for, to make wholesale changes for cup games. These days most championship clubs also rotate for the FA Cup, even if they're drawn against Premier League opposition. Nobody seems to take it seriously these days. The FA haven't helped this situation. The guardians of the competition have neglected the FA Cup for years, failing to modernize it and stripping it of romance, excitement and stature. Captain Jamie Collins of Havant celebrates at the final whistle after beating Swansea City in 2008. There are many reasons why fans up and down the country will be staying at home rather than cheering on their sides in person this weekend. Swansea City fans arguably have more reason than most to feel ambivalent about this weekend. Despite all Swansea's incredible successes over the past decade and a half, their FA Cup record hasn't been particularly brilliant. The club has enjoyed the odd upset, but it's also been on the wrong side of plenty of cup shocks. The words, Havant and Waterlooville, still give all Swansea City fans nightmares. More often than not, FA Cup runs have been brief, even when Swansea were riding high in the top half of the Premier League. But last year, it looked as if Swansea's mediocre record in the competition could change. After an awful first half to the season, the Swans enjoyed an unexpected injection of positivity when the cup came knocking. After a surprise victory over the championship table toppers Wolves in the third-round replay, favourable draws helped them to their first FA Cup quarter-final in more than half a century. As crazy as it sounds, wins over 2 championship sides on the 8-1 thrashing of Notts County had helped return some confidence to the Liberty Stadium, and all of a sudden, Swansea were 1 win away from equaling their best-ever performance in the competition. They were just 2 wins from the final, abide with me, and everything it entails, and just 3 wins from lifting the famous old trophy. There was a chance to make club history, but when the big occasion arrived, Swansea folded like a deck chair. A weekend side was picked and it took to the pitch against Spurs with about as much enthusiasm as a dog on its way to get neutered. A limp 3-0 defeat dashed all the excitement which had been building, killed hopes of a first semi-final since 1964, and made it very clear what the club's stance was when it came to the FA Cup. Swansea City goalkeeper Christopher Nordfeldt fails to stop the ball as Tottenham Hotspur's Christian Eriksen scores. The club quite frankly couldn't have cared less. They had not been this far in more than 50 years, and they decided they didn't have any interest in going further. They may as well have taken to the field carrying white flags. If the club, faced with its best chance of FA Cup success in generations, couldn't be bothered to take the competition seriously, then why on earth should fans? In theory, this should be a good time to give the cup a spirited shot. The Swans are firmly anchored in mid-table, have only faint hopes of making the playoffs and even less chance of being dragged into a serious relegation battle. Why not go for it and see how far they can get? A good cup run could give this young squad some great memories and allow them to test themselves against top-level opposition. Since the old Wembley was demolished, 13 sides from outside the top flight have made it to the semi-final or further, including several who are not as talented as this current crop of Swans. Swansea have nothing to lose by taking the cup seriously for once, but after fans were let down last year, is there any point in getting our hopes up? This isn't how the competition is meant to be. The third round should captivate supporters and get them dreaming of miraculous upsets and runs which go down in history. But the sad truth is that the cup's not what it used to be, and after last year's crushing disappointment it's very difficult to feel that same love for the tournament or the same hope that the Swans could do something special.